there's nothing wrong with ideologies or systems. They actually can create bonds between people, real bonds, like real, actually deep, connected bonds, and not be disembodied if we're hooked in, right? It's like if they're not an escape, if they're not being utilized as an escape, I think that's really kind of the oversimplification aspect I was bringing up, is it's a way out of my experience. It's a way out of my body. It's a way out of, what I'm afraid of, which is that I actually am here with others. We are hooked in. Mm-hmm. We're almost uncomfortably hooked in. That's the truth of it. We think of it as, we're all connected as being like groovy or something, like that's a, kind of hippie vision or something. But actually, being hooked in is very real.
Mm-hmm. We're impacted by each other all the time.
And so using ideologies could actually be, in an embodied way, in a connected way, could be exciting. Like you try it, like you use a framework for something, and actually it's really valuable, but you're not using it to get out of your
Well, again,
self.
It has to be fluid. And I don't know if we have to define ideology. Is it a solid thing or is it a fluid dynamic thing? But there's, to me, the experience of openness, open mind. So we talk about the body being awake, the heart being tender, and the mind being open. These three qualities of natural communication. And to me, one of the things that I find very interesting is that the open-mindedness has built in within it a kind of a truth detector. Mm-hmm. And this truth detector, or we could say lie detector, but this capacity to recognize the truth when it is given birth to. And it really depends upon having the space to see the birthing process. So it's like in a conversation where we're talking and I'm trying to express myself and I don't really know what it is I'm trying to get at. And you're listening in a very encouraging way, not rushing the process, not rushing the birth. And then what emerges is a moment. And this happened between us earlier this week when we started using the term disheartened, being disheartened and trying to narrow, zero in on a word or a moment where we all were congruently connected. This is where, we use this green light metaphor, but I like the green light to also be associated with the tuner on a guitar, where, the tuner suddenly goes green when you're actually in tune. And so this kind of capacity to recognize what is true, and again, it's what is true for me right now, which might get upgraded tomorrow or even 5 minutes from now. But it requires,
truth isn't frozen.
No, and it requires that space of not knowing in order to be given birth to.
Sure.
And that's why I think these principles of creating space and creating time are really critical. And those are the two things that are missing in our general approach
space and time.
Yeah. And that's why we talk about creating green zones. We need to have an intention. It's like walking off a busy sidewalk into a city park and sitting on the bench and looking at the flowers or the birds. You have to have the space to be willing to do nothing but attune to what's happening within yourself, with the other person, begin to share that. That process is really important. That's vital to what we're talking about. So all of that to me relates to open mind.